Welcome to Source Not Found, a show about the worst versions of your favorite things. Every other week, we explore an IP, franchise, or fandom by way of its sequels, spin-offs, and side projects. Basically anything but the source material. I'm Brandon June, and Triangle Man, Triangle Man, Triangle Man hates James Sunderland. They have a fight, Triangle wins, Triangle Man.
And I'm Beau Woodall, and I'm rocking a metal pipe all day, every day, from now on.
Yeah, you are.
Welcome back, everyone. This is just a continuation of this wonderful month exploring Silent Hill, which I've never explored before.
In your restless feeds, you hear that podcast.
God, dude, this week we're covering the Silent Hill 2 remake that was released, I believe, was it this year? 2025?
Last year,
2024.
Yeah.
And as someone who has never experienced Silent Hill 2 or any Silent Hill before, Brandon, can you give me just like a quick rundown on what this series, game-wise, is all about?
Survival horror game, started on the PS1, and it is just in this game in particular, a horrific exploration of a protagonist's psyche, and you are exploring an abandoned, fog-enshrouded town, looking around for clues to solve puzzles, avoiding monsters, and trying to, in this game, find out why you received a letter from your dead wife instructing you to meet her in the town of Silent Hill.
From 3 years ago. 3 years she's been dead, and you get a new letter from her saying, come find me in Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm. Like, in terms of the franchise as a whole, like, the games focus on different things. Like, 1 and 3 are very much centered around the cult, which you are familiar with because you have had a Silent Hill experience.
Yeah, that movie.
Your first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This I will say this. Spoiler alert for the end of the episode. This game changed my entire opinion on the IP.
I'm so glad. I hoped it would. I thought it might. Very glad to hear that it did.
Yeah.
You had one of the worst, I think the worst, some of those later games are really not good, but probably still the worst possible introduction to the world of Silent Hill.
So I do want to ask, this game specifically is an examination into the protagonist's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Is Silent Hill always that? Like, is it always more like introspective and dark and dangerous? As opposed to, like, once you realize that this is a game that focuses entirely around your protagonist's psyche, the monsters aren't as externally frightening, right? Like, every monster
you think so? Interesting.
I think that they are more frightening as creatures, but once you figure out that they are just manifestations of emotional or mental trauma, they become more frightening to me, like, from an introspective way. Like,
I see what you mean then.
Yeah, like, they're not, this isn't an external force acting against you. You are also the external force, basically, right? Like, as this is
a lot of stuff I want to dig into in narrative. Yeah. There's a lot to discuss there.
So I
think frightening on both metrics, but yeah.
Are all Silent Hill games like that?
I think the series, when it's at its best, like when we have the original Team Silent games, usually there's some depth to the creature design. It's tied to something of substance. You know, there is a lot of that. This game prioritizes that because this game is such an internal exploration of James.
Yeah. And
also your other peripheral characters, like Angela plays a major role, and you see a lot of her trauma on screen. And you have interactions with the others. And, you know, Eddie, you end up fighting Eddie. But I want to say next to James, like, Angela is the one that you see the most manifestations of her trauma and abuse.
Right.
And so this game prioritizes that, whereas like the surrounding games 1 and 3 do have elements of that, but are more concerned with like exploring the cult. And you can kind of tie a lot of this about like Silent Hill's ability to manifest these creatures and warp the perception of those who wander into its city limits, like to Alessa and some of the events that have transpired around the cult. But to me, yeah, 1 and 3 are more. To me, those games are more about the mechanics of the how, and this is more about the personal experience and the why, if that makes sense. Like they kind of explain more background lore and prioritize that. Not that they don't also do like personal trauma. And this game is really like that. It prioritizes that because it really leaves a lot kind of vague and unexplained. You have to look for the connections, yourself.
So maybe a better way of asking the question, because I really feel like I kind of stumbled over it a little bit, is Silent Hill as a geographic location always intended to be a psychometric, like pseudo-liminal space? Like,
I like to look back at this game and what this game was intending. I think later games explain the lore and make connections to make sense of a lot of the events. But when this game came out, like if you read interviews with some of the creators, they didn't necessarily like come out and explicitly state what Silent Hill is. Like, are you exploring just another side of town? And is the town functioning this way because of the cult and like the esoteric rituals, like linked to the powers of these like eldritch gods that allow it to manifest these things, these parts of someone's psyche when they come into its city limits? There are interpretations of certain endings you can get in Silent Hill 2, which almost make it seem like James, like if you get the in water ending, there are some readings of that ending where like James took his own life at the beginning of the game, and the whole thing is like a Jacob's ladder sort of final moments, personal hell. It leaves a lot. It's one of the things I find so compelling about this game in particular, and why it's still to me the high point of the series. You have a sort of personal take on the game. Like later games, like fans that are well more versed in lore than I am might be just like pulling their hair out right now because I'm getting stuff wrong, or like, oh no, that's been like explicitly stated. But for me, like the experience of just playing 2, like just 1 and 2, the original experience, like the intended experience of this game, I think it leaves a lot to the player. And we can talk about some of the endings when we get to narrative. So many endings, all the endings, you're not making explicit choices. Where you end up there because of how you played the game.
Right.
And it's very subtle. Like, what did you choose to do? How did you treat Maria? What items did you look at in your inventory? How much damage did you take? How quickly did you heal yourself? How brutally did you like overkill the enemies that you found? And you have a very personalized experience of like, what was your James? It's almost like psychologically profiling the player to a certain degree. And so when I think about 2, like, what is Silent Hill? What is Maria? What is she? What are some of these creatures? I'm kind of like, I like being in the place of slightly not knowing.
Right.
And just kind of wondering, and it being like the whole game, like the fog is a metaphor. Like James is for a long time unable to face up to what he did, like his own personal guilt for killing his wife.
I was going to say,
mirrors.
We're getting really into the narrative. Do we want to jump into the narrative?
I mean, we're kind of there.
I was going to say,
just like narrative. Yeah, we're here. Yeah,
9.5.
Also, I mean, this is kind of too late for that. But spoilers abound.
Yeah,
spoilers abound.
A lot. Yeah, several. 9.5.
I gave it a 10.
Yep.
The original Silent Hill 2 for sure. 10 on the narrative metric. And I picked a couple other categories to, like, I wanted to talk about Silent Hill 2 Remake as its own thing. Like, it's so easy to compare it to the original, which I have a lot of love for. This was your first experience. I'm trying to just treat it as a modern 2024 horror game, but it's impossible for me, having played, the original, to not draw some connections to it and see where Bloober Team made some choices. And I do want to factor that into my score a little bit. But I wanted it to impact the areas where I think like they made some stylistic choices that maybe result in a lesser than experience, but here in narrative, no, like it's all here. Like it's one of those games that justifies, like, it's the kind of experience you can only have in the medium of video games.
Yeah.
It's not a game that seeks to like give you a cinematic experience and like replicate anything from that medium and give it to you in a game and like do that well, but then like have the gameplay over here. Like, it is such a holistic, one of the greatest examples of a truly holistic gameplay experience where every aspect of the mechanics, the monster design, the art design, the audio design, it all is so intertwined with the narrative, because that's the way it tells the story. Like, the narrative is the gameplay in Silent Hill 2. And we're kind of getting into some minutia there, but just as a general overview, like, this is like the height of what the medium of video games can achieve, when like all factors, like all aspects of the game are working in concert to deliver a very unified, holistic vision. Like, I love it.
I mean, at 9.5, I love it as well. I don't love it as much as you. Definitely. I think this was maybe my second favorite horror game experience I've ever had. I would definitely put it in my
First
top.
being
Resident Evil 4.
Okay, yeah.
Just as a game. But I did knock it a half a point for one reason and one reason alone. And we kind of started talking about this, and that's why I tried to like shift gears real fast. Because the thing that hurt this game the most for me was my ending.
Which ending did you get?
In Water.
Okay.
It felt so like after it was all said and done, I looked up, okay, before I do that, the In Water ending, James goes back to his car. And he basically monologues for a second and says like, I can't do this without you. I tried. I'm sorry. I know this is not what you would have wanted, but I can't continue this. And then he drives his car off the cliff into the lake where so many souls were lost in Silent Hill. And when the car goes in, you get to actually hear Mary's letter for the first time in her voice. And it is a beautiful ending. However, it felt wildly undeserved based on how I played the game. And that, I understand you can't have, endings like you do for Baldur's Gate 3 or something like that. You can't have 986 different endings based on how you play the game for a game of this length. But I felt a little, despite the fact that I thought that the ending was beautiful and cinematic and tragic, I also felt a little cheated because of how I was playing the game as James. I never for a second thought I was playing the game as James, as someone who could not recover from his own grief. And that really frustrated the hell out of me, especially when I looked into some of the other endings. Because I think there are 3 endings in your first playthrough you can get. Right? You've got In Water, which is what I got. You've got Maria, where James doesn't change. He doesn't grow at all. He leaves Silent Hill with Maria, And at one point, she coughs, very similar to how Mary did. And he said, you should get that looked at. And that's it. And walks away from her. There is no concern. There's no personal growth for him. And then the other, he leaves with Laura to take care of her. Laura is a small child you meet in Silent Hill who is socially anxious, a little bit of a trickster, and probably has some of her own trauma that she is dealing with. Right? We don't get to see a lot of that from her. Thank God. That would have crushed me.
Yeah.
So your three endings are you get better and you face your grief and you overcome it and you leave with Laura. You succumb to your grief and you drive off the cliff, or you shove the grief down and you leave with someone who looks just like your wife, except a little more punk rock. And I really thought I was going to have the ending where he overcame his grief. I thought that's how I was playing the game. And then come to find out, maybe I just didn't look at Mary's letter enough. Or like it just seemed so, the requirements to get better endings seemed so cherry picked. And it's clever.
Really?
It's very clever. But it doesn't feel super earned to get the tragic one when, like, I did go back and check on Maria several times when she was in a room passed out. I did rush after Laura every time I saw her and risked myself for her on several different occasions. Like, I tried to play James as a hero within his own psyche. And then that hero succumbs to his own kind of grief. And that just, it felt, I don't even know what I wanted out of it. Like, once I read the extra endings and stuff, I know what ending I wanted, right? But
yeah,
the ending I got, even with the beautiful voiceover and the tragedy that felt very fitting to a certain type of James, was not the James that I played.
I understand your experience. Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree a little bit. Like, I have a different take on it, but I see where you're coming from. Because to me, the way the game scores the endings is like it's point based, right? Like as you're doing certain actions, it's building up, and you're more likely to end here. And I guess I just think about, like, if we are exploring a complex human being that is capable of moments of great courage, and weakness, and moments of succumbing to one's own feelings of inadequacy or guilt or depression, and then moments where that character can pull themselves out of that spiral and seem to be on enough swing. Like, yes, those are the rhythms and the chaotic swings of the personal human experience, emotional experience, right? Then we do have to factor in all those things. And while we can think about, like, I played James this way, I tried to do this, but, like, in the background, what else were we doing? And one of the things, like, that leads to that ending is, which I think is brilliant, again, like, storytelling through a system or a gameplay mechanic. Like, if you leave James at low health, that helps contribute to the in-water ending.
Yeah.
Because you are unintentionally, most likely, like, you're just playing it as a video game, right? You're playing it as a player, playing a survival horror game. You don't use, like, I don't use consumables right away, Like, I think very carefully about, because you never want to overheal,
especially
or, like, squander any.
In this game, you don't want to squander healing, and you don't want to squander ammunition. Holy shit, do you not want to do that?
Right. So you hoard stuff, right? But inadvertently, you are punishing James. You are leaving him in a state of, like, physical trauma, and for that to result in an ending where James isn't able to forgive himself. Like, you have played a James, maybe unintentionally, where he is leaving himself in that state You know, he is torturing himself. He is hurting himself. And for like stuff like that to contribute to the in-water ending, I think is a brilliant way of telling a story. And
it is, but there also has to be I feel like there has to be a little bit of understanding that the people that are playing this game have probably played a video game before, have probably even played a survival horror game before. So they are aware that consumables are not aplenty, right? So making the most depressing ending be the one where you're actually being a conservative, smart game player seems a little like I get the kind of subversive punishing James aspect of it, and that is very, very clever. But it also punishes, to me at least, being an intelligent game player. Like, leaving James at low health, I think, like you said, it is a clever storytelling mechanism. But on sheer gameplay, it makes sense for a survival horror game for you not to heal until you absolutely have to. So it just kind of, it doesn't make me mad. Otherwise, the score would be quite a bit lower. Like I said, I'm disappointed in the ending I got, but I thought the ending itself was wonderful and heartbreaking. I felt a little like the James that I had in my head was not the James that was being seen by the game. Where in every other instance, characterization and perception were so dead on in this game.
Now, are you open to the idea that the James you had in your head is not the correct James? Because the idea we have about James through most of the game, you think about him as the hero, right? Like he's just here trying to find his wife. Like he's courageously going into this nightmarish world.
Oh, I never saw him as courageous.
Well, okay. But like, I guess I just mean like, maybe if you're coming into the game for the first time and you don't know any better and just like, I'm playing as the good guy in the video game and we're fighting the bad guys and I'm trying to save my wife. Like for a while, the game doesn't give you, like it subtly hints things for sure, but it doesn't explicitly give you a reason to think about James as potentially the villain of the game.
Yeah.
Like, or just like an irredeemably bad person. I guess I wanted to share something. Okay, so there's a really great book put out by Boss Fight Books by Mike Drucker on Silent Hill 2. I don't know if you know this line of books, but they cover specific games and they do just like a long form critical analysis of the game. This has been published some years ago, so it's on the original game. Like this is before the remake even came out. But the remake, so like it really maintains, like it makes some changes. It changes a few things, switches things around. But for the most part, like it's pretty faithful. So this still applies. And this is about the section related to in water specifically. I excerpted a couple different things here. So, but I think just, I'm going to read through a couple paragraphs here because I think these are some really good thoughts on this ending. So to get this ending, you need to focus on your own guilt, shame, and death, which subtly you did by way of certain mechanics or just like not healing James or whatever, which I think is, again, a very smart way to give me an ending. It's implied James killed himself by driving his car into the lake before the events of the game. This is like one take on it, right? This actually makes a lot of sense. If we look at the first few minutes of Silent Hill 2, James's car is parked askew in front of the lake. He reads only a part of the letter, asking him to return to Silent Hill, and he starts the game by looking into a reflective surface, like water. In fact, there's water imagery throughout the game. James crosses a lake, rain pours through the hotel, and rising floods prevent James from going back the way he came. Similar to the ending of Jacob's Ladder, it's possible James's hell is in his mind as he's dying, As life leaves his body, he comes to an understanding with his sins. Make no mistake, this ending is suicide. Remember that. To get it, you need to focus on the knife Angela gave you. A knife it's worth remembering she was going to use to kill herself. The letter itself works as a reverse suicide note, a formal invitation to join Mary in death. However, James killing himself means that every character is in hell or, as I believe, existing only in James's head. In this ending, the other characters aren't manifesting their own versions of Silent Hill. They're all manifestations of different aspects of James himself. Eddie becomes James's bullied, masculine rage. Pyramid Head becomes James's sexual violence. Angela becomes James's shame. Laura, James's disappointment in his familial failures. Maria is still Maria. A fair number of people consider this the canon ending with good reason. The novelization of the game even uses it. But a novelization of a video game isn't the game, and it would rob Silent Hill 2 of its emotional weight if nothing the player did actually mattered. It's far more intriguing that James's punishment means different things based on how the player acts, and not how the designers thought James should end up. In Silent Hill, even good endings can have disturbing implications. James can't just walk away from what he did, even when he's basically just walking away from what he did. There's no one choice that makes everything okay, because the most important choice in James's life comes before we even start the game. James can defeat his demons, but he can't leave hell. And I thought that's a really interesting take on that ending. Now, I reject the personal hell, like last moments of life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that reading. I don't like the it was all a dream, anything adjacent to that.
Yeah, that
like,
always
even if
pisses
it is
me
real
off.
to James and works. Yeah. I want things to have subtext and metaphorical depth to them for sure. And I like everything in Silent Hill being personally tailored to that character and like them seeing different things. This becomes clear in the final scene with Angela as everything's on fire in the hotel. You know, and it's like, oh, you see it, you feel the heat of these flames. Like for me, it's always like this. You know, like we have very different experiences in this town. We have very different traumas that we're bringing in to this world. On a certain level, I still want it to be a real thing, like a real physical space, not just all mental in this one character's mind. But I wanted to share that just because, like, I liked the imagery of the water and it pointing that out, reflective surfaces, like just this continuing motif there. And it's just something to consider. Yeah, I guess the fact that all of these different endings can exist based on how we played the game. And there's not any one canon ending or really one good ending. Like some are better on certain metrics, but ultimately like it's more about just the experience of the exploration of this character and those around him. Like that's more important. Like I don't need a well-rounded, or not a well-rounded, but like I don't need a character arc with James. Like I don't need growth. I don't need him to overcome anything because he's done something unforgivable. Mm-hmm. And I think like just leaving him in that place and exploring his realization of that and like the manifestations of the guilt around that action, like that already to me is such a rich exploration narratively to just focus on that experience of coming to terms with the guilt, that like what he does with that in the ending, like even if I get the in water ending and that's a very bleak ending, like it makes sense. There's enough there narratively to justify it to me.
Agreed.
And I feel like it's earned, and it was way more about like the exploration for me and the idea that out there are different endings that if I played the game again, we could experience.
I have one.
And I could explore James in a different way. Yeah.
I have one question for you before we move on to gameplay. In your mind, what is Maria?
That I think is one of the most interesting questions in the entire game because I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of horrifying.
Yeah. So for people who haven't played the game, you meet someone in Silent Hill who looks very much like your dead wife, but with bleach blonde hair and pink tips, a leather jacket, a butterfly tattoo on her chest, and basically a version of your wife that is a little bit more punk rock. And she really, really tries to fuck with your head through the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, without just top of your head, what do you think everything else has a representation in James's psyche? Is Maria the god doing this to him? Is Maria the devil? Or is Maria just another aspect of James?
Right. Like, because ultimately, and I mean, she's the final boss, right? She becomes monstrous. I mean, you
depends on the ending, right?
Yeah, sure, right. But the ending that you got in water, like you fight Maria.
Yeah.
And yeah, like anyone who's listened this long, like we kind of just homed in on some very specific things in the ending. But yeah, you got a letter from your dead wife. Come meet me in Silent Hill. We meet Maria. We meet some other characters there. And ultimately, we come to terms with the fact that, like, later on it's revealed that James killed his wife and has misremembered that situation. And she was ill, and he didn't deal with her illness in a healthy way. And he repressed a lot of feelings of anger and resentment and frustrated, like, unfulfilled sexuality around his marriage. And they all are manifest. And Maria is definitely like punk rock. Like, she's a sexier, more flirtatious version of his wife. And we see highly sexualized, like, they're horrific, but nurses, right? Like,
yeah, the bubble heads
revealing a lot of skin in the hospital, you know? And this is something that the boss fight book by Mike Drucker pointed out, which I thought was a really astute, like, observation. You leave Maria in a bed in the hospital and you go out and you're encountering all of these, you know, horrifically sexy nurses, right? Like representations of James's, I don't know, frustrated sexuality. And, like, it's a mirror image of what he did in his real life with just, like, leaving his wife, you know, in bed to die, right? Like, not attending to her needs.
Right.
And we have that replicated there. So he's just like, he continues these behaviors. Like, you just see things, you see so many things throughout the game that just, like, yeah, James is a very bad dude. An interesting person to explore, but ultimately, like, yeah, he's full of faults and potentially, like, one of the villains of the game, depending on how you perceive him, you know? And what is she? Because the thing that, like, complicates it for me is in the original Silent Hill 2, with later releases of the game, you get the, oh shoot, what is it? Is it Born of a Wish? Or I think it might be Born from a Wish. I'm trying to remember now. There is, like, an additional sort of gameplay section where you play as Maria, which seems to give her agency. And in that, like, she's personally, like, considering taking her own life. And so, like, yeah, what is she? I don't know. It seems to, like, imply that she is a complex being on her own with, like, certain personalized thoughts and feelings that maybe it just, like, muddies the waters and kind of detracts from the idea there. I'm not sure.
So I have a theory. Before we move to gameplay, I want to toss this at you. Because we've been talking narrative for a while. I think there is a possibility that Maria is actually the version of Mary that Mary wanted James to see. Mary was waiting for James in Silent Hill as Maria. Maria is the leftover bits of Mary that have been left behind that she wants to present to James as, this is what I can give you, even though I am gone, sort of thing. Like, this is what I think you wanted, James. And I was never it, but I can be it now. Because this entire thing is just a study on inadequacy and fear and guilt and shame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would make sense that Mary is in the same hell as James as she sent the letter to him.
But in that theory, what is she still?
Mary.
Like, physically, what is it?
She's Mary. That's why she's trapped in a bed. Even as a final boss, she's trapped in what appears to be like a bed frame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting idea. I guess the thing with me, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, like I am definitely interested in the how. Like I think about it at a certain level, and ultimately I come up like the game doesn't really over-explain or really make it clear what any of these things are. Like the creatures themselves, the manifestations, right? Like what, like physically are they? Are they a corporeal thing? How much agency do they have? The game leaves it vague. I'm fine existing in that vagueness because it is like we have a lot of Lynchian connections here too. I mean, the first meeting with Pyramid Head, like that's pulled straight out of Blue Velvet, right? Like popping into the slatted like behind the slatted closet doors and peeking out at this horrifying display of sexual violence in front of you. You know, like the bar as well. Like this is a very just sort of Lynch coded environment when you're there with Mary as you're first like exploring the town together. And definitely a Lynch experience is like, I don't know, what is your interpretation of these events? And you have a lot of fan speculation. You try and tie these different things together to make sense of it. And ultimately, like you can have an interpretation, but you're never going to be validated in that. Like you might have others that look at it the same way, but there's just not enough there to go on that it leave a lot of it up to interpretation, which I love. I like existing in that fog, you know, that sort of slightly confused wonderment. That is one of the most compelling things about the experience to me. So I don't know, but the idea of what Maria is frightening and spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this person who is luring you around town, flirting with you, egging you on, and perishing multiple times before your eyes, only to be reborn again? What purpose does it serve? Who has made it manifest? You know, these are really interesting questions. And I know we want to move on to other things. I just wanted to talk about one scene in particular because I wanted to highlight something that this game, I don't want to say does better. Like Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece. The original is perfect. I love it. And for the time, like, couldn't do any better, honestly, in my opinion. When you have first met Maria, when you first go to the bar together, that scene, as she's dancing on the pole, flirting with you, and then she hops behind the bar and pulls out a bottle of alcohol. And you see James's is very subtle, like his hand tense up on the bar, and he does this sort of like dead-eyed, like out of focus stare through her and beyond the bar. And she's basically like, "Oh, you're not going to partake?" And she pours the glasses and he just refuses. And you see the clenching in his hands. You see the quivering of his lip. Like that, there is so much storytelling. This is a place where just the level of, like, the game is beautiful. We haven't talked about visuals yet. But the facial animations there, the very subtlety of, oh, James has a history with struggling with addiction, alcohol. Like, it never explicitly explores that. It's just a dimension to James to leave you wondering more about him as a person and his character and the struggles he's had on a personal level. The fact that he refuses that alcohol and it dwells on his face. And they could have over-explained there easily, right? And that's something that the game, it shows such restraint in multiple aspects. Like, I know it frustrated you with the ending, but I so much appreciate that it tells a story. Like, there is so much depth and intent to what happens and how it's told, but it just never spoon feeds you. Like, you are left to wonder about these things, about these characters. Like, you are left, like, you can look at Abstract Daddy, and Angela alludes to the sexual abuse she suffered at the hands of her father.
No, she straight up says it.
And brother. Yeah, but I guess it is more, it's one of the more explicit things in the game. But I guess what I'm getting at is, you look at the creature of Abstract Daddy, and like this monstrous creature that's become a piece of furniture, and like the way that she ties the horrific trauma of the abuse event to like the physical surroundings that she was in the time of the abuse, and it becomes this one monstrous holistic thing, this living piece of her world that is the melding of a humanoid thing and like a physical just piece of furniture, you know? Like that's horrific. And you are like, it gives you some place there, some space as the player to, I guess, make like to fill in the rest of the connection between what she went and like what she went through and what you're being presented visually, and like the meaning of that, the metaphorical aspect of that, I guess, if that makes sense. And I just love how it does that again and again. Like it just leaves the ball in your court as the player to draw the connections there or fill in the final bit. And sometimes it is vaguer than others, but I just think it's a truly brilliant storytelling again and again, like just down the line.
I can't help but agree.
Yeah.
I'm a little less emphatic about it than you are, obviously. But,
sure, yeah.
Okay, let's go to gameplay. What you got?
I gave it a 9.5.
A 9.
This is a place where I did want to bring in the original a little bit, because this game does make a very, like, it makes a strong, fundamental, game-altering choice, which is to focus more on combat. Like, the original did not focus on combat to the same degree. It had janky survival horror kind of combat of the era. You feel like it's with intent, right? Like, you're James Sunderland. You're not a fighter. Like, you feel kind of helpless and weak in these surroundings. And that's intended. And so the world is more horrific by that contrast. And so, yeah, he's not very adept at like swinging a steel pipe around into the face of some like nightmarish mannequin creature that's like bursting in on him out of the darkness. This game refines the combat mechanics, which is more satisfying, more fun, honestly, on a gameplay level. To like learn the timing, and you have the dodge mechanic, and to like, honestly, I ended up treating the mechanic, like the mannequin encounters, like more so than others. Like, it felt like a little mini boxing match every time I would like face up against them.
Yeah.
Like, all right, watch for that. They're coming in with their right hook and dodge to the left, and then, punish them there, zip around to the back. And I think there's something lost there. While it is satisfying on a gameplay level, like the focus on combat sort of gamifies it to me. And I'm now thinking about it as enemy encounter in a video game. I'm thinking about it in terms of timing. I'm thinking about it in terms of like learning the patterns. And that's not really what I wanted out of Silent Hill. Like it's more about the being in the thrall of this horrific experience, and like combat is a part of that, but generally trying to avoid it. That also, like, when you less emphasize combat, you end up leaving a lot of enemies extant in these areas, and when you're backtracking, they're still there, and that is kind of horrific to just know, like, fuck, I gotta go back through this hallway, like I left shit in there, like I hope I can get around it. It's dark, and the controls are kind of janky. Whereas in this game, like, I was completely clearing out areas, like I just left nothing alive, and I just felt more adept. Like, James definitely feels more adept in this game. He doesn't feel like he's no Chris Redfield or anything, right? Like, he's still just a normal everyday guy. But I did kind of want to knock it a little bit, because you are adapting like a source material. Like, it made a choice there that I think like slightly detracted from it.
But in that case, aren't you detracting it based on the source material?
Yes, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying not to do that. Like, I don't want to. We're talking about it as its own thing, but that's a place where I can't help but see a different approach to it, and how that original approach better reinforced the themes of the game and the atmosphere of the game and the sense I get as a player. And so I guess what I mean is, I actually was like, I changed my opinion on this throughout the game. At first, I really liked the choice, because the encounters were difficult. Before I kind of learned the enemy patterns, like, I felt a dread that I wouldn't have going through Silent Hill 2, like on multiple playthroughs, because like I know where things are and I know how to deal with them and how to get around them easily. Now it's like, this is a fresh take on the game that, because it has broadened and expanded the combat mechanics, and there's a level of stress there of like having to perform them well, and I'm unfamiliar with them. Like the first couple hours of the game were actually more frightening because of that. But ultimately, in the end, I think it was a less effective choice for a horror game to make me more adept at combat, if that makes sense. And the reason I was more comfortable knocking it is because, again, we have the original to go on. But in the original game, when you fight Eddie, it is not a long, extended series of, like, he doesn't have 3 phases, you know? You feel the weight of shooting a fellow human being because it's not this extended affair. It doesn't become a boss battle. It's much more concise, and because of that, you feel the weight of what James just did. You pulled the trigger on another fellow human being. You killed them. Whereas here, you start with that, but because it's expanded out into multiple phases and you're dodging like, you know, fucking swinging hunks of meat, you know, and it is a cool encounter. There's like, on a mechanical level, it's very interesting. But because it's so expanded, it loses the thematic punch. And I guess I wanted to knock it down a little bit. Like, the gameplay is great. The combat feels good. It feels appropriate. Like, you're just effective enough to have a good time and not like gets too frustrated with the shortcomings on James's part, but you never feel like he's not James Sunderland. Like, he still feels like an everyday kind of dude that's thrust into the situation and is making do with what he finds around him. But yeah, I couldn't help seeing the places where that choice was a less effective vehicle for the themes of the game.
And I'm going to have to disagree with you.
Okay.
James is only combat adept, to me at least, when he is fighting his own demons. The reason I appreciated the Eddie battle is because it was the first time I felt like I was fighting an equal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a long, drawn-out, hard-ass boss battle.
Yeah.
But it was that because Eddie was the first time you encountered something that wasn't part of James's psyche. So to me, it made perfect sense why I can walk up and just beat the living hell out of a lying figure or a mannequin. And Abstract Daddy is no problem at all. I just take a step to the left and fucking bash him with a steel pipe. But then I'm up against Eddie, who is not a figment of James's imagination. And it is a fucking struggle. It made it seem even more impactful that I was fighting another human because of how hard the battle was. It made perfect sense to me that this battle with phases works this way because this is the first time James is encountering something that he doesn't have some semblance of involvement in. Everything else, he's just beating his own ass, basically, right? Like, he is beating manifestations of his own psyche, where Eddie is not that. Eddie does have...
I do really like that take. Yeah.
And, I mean, like, that's why, to me at least, Eddie is the hardest battle in the game.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Honestly, I didn't struggle with him too much, but like, I think more so there was, like, Abstract Daddy was kind of like, they changed that battle up in the sequel, and it was pretty easy to just like zip around him, get around the back.
Yeah, Abstract Daddy was nothing.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be the most difficult encounter. Maybe like if you are kind of off on the timing with your final battle with the 2 pyramid heads right before the end.
But if you can get them in front of each other, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a resource drain more than anything else.
I don't know. I kind of love your take. Like, I love its strength is in like also the part I kind of still disagree with, but I do love drawing a distinction between the manifestations and the aspects of James's psyche, and then an equal like other human being with agency, right? Like, I do on a mechanical level, separating those two is very smart, and picking up on that, very smart on your part. However, I still come back to the fact that when I'm just unloading multiple magazines full of my firearm into that other, not manifestation, but physical human being, it takes on a hyper real video gamey aspect to it where like I just don't feel like I'm fighting a human being anymore. I'm fighting a boss battle in a video game. Whereas like the immediacy and the punch of the original of he's a human and you shoot him a few times and he's fucking dead. And you just feel the weight of that choice. But like it is my preferred delivery of that feeling. Like to feel the weight of taking that life.
But it doesn't work that way for you, so why should it for him?
No, I agree.
Now,
like,
if he had a health bar, I would agree with you 100%. But the fact that you don't see him, so he could just as easily be taking health drinks or syringes like you do.
And I don't like that idea, right? I know that I do it, right? And it's just something you always have to accept in a video game. Like there's going to be some level of that sort of dissonance, right? Like as immersed as you can become, like there's always going to be something that reminds you you're playing the video game, right? The less of that, the better for me. So like, yeah, I accept it for myself. When I see the boss doing it, or the boss also feels like it's part of that system, like we just lose like that much more immersion is lost. Whereas like if it's just me, like, yeah, it's kind of just centered in my video game character, but like I can treat this encounter with the weight. Like I really like your take, I do, but ultimately I still prefer not extending that out to this more complex series of phases.
Right.
But that is a very smart take. I like that a lot. It's something I'm going to be considering. I think the other thing to bring up, because like we talked about combat a lot, the puzzles though, man. The puzzles.
I'm saving that for fun factor.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll do that for me too. Because yeah. Because like I keep coming back to like, even though I liked some of the combat choices, it was fun. Silent Hill for me is an adventure game, an exploration game, and a puzzle solving game. Like finding clues, making connections, having revelations, and thinking on puzzles. Just wandering and pondering, you know? And we had some good ones. Okay, yeah.
Visuals.
9.5.
10.
10. I thought about giving it the 10. It's the same thing that came up with FF7 Rebirth. Like I was having there was like very minor. I almost knocked it for like, I don't know, some like textures popping in and little things like that. I'm like, what are you doing? Just like, you don't care. I don't care about those things too much. And like, it's the most glorious video game I've ever seen. This like lush, rich world. Like it's astounding. And I don't have like quite that level of like, this game is gorgeous. But it's like not quite at those heights. So I am going to like actually this time go through with like, yeah, I had a lot of like visual stuttering when I would like sidle up against like a wall or a banister or like under an umbrella outside. Like it would just kind of go a little haywire at times.
I never had that.
Had like visual. Wow. Never had that. We both played on PS5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a couple times where like I would just walk in. It definitely happened in the hotel. Just like I walk in a room and one of the enemies is just like moonwalking in place, like hovering above the ground.
That is wild.
Fun.
I didn't have
it wasn't.
I don't think I had a single visual bug.
Huh. Yeah, just little things like that. Like I don't really care about those things. Sometimes I don't even consider it for like impacting my score.
That would have dropped it down at least a 0.5 for me if I would have seen it.
Yeah. I guess the thing I was coming back to is because this is like overall a very faithful remake of a game, and I want to treat it as its own thing, but I know the original and I can't help thinking about the original as I play. There are like two areas I mentioned before where I just like wanted to bring that in a little bit, and it was gameplay and its visuals, because I love the PS2 aesthetic for horror. Like I think it's like I don't really need horror games to look better than that, to be honest. And it's just got that great grain, just the gritty texture to it. I love the grittiness of Silent Hill 2. And they managed to maintain that, really. Like the game looks great and it's creepy and decrepit and nasty, gory, and gross. But certain areas like, it's a modern game and it just like, it's a little too shiny and a little too clean, honestly. Like just a little bit. You know? Like, I just feel that. I can't help but feel that knowing the original PS2 games.
And this is why I
yeah.
gave it a 10, you gave it a 9.5, because I haven't experienced the PS2 game.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the most decidedly creepy looking video game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Every
Honestly.
single set piece was beautifully horrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
Even the things that made the game, like even when the visuals impacted the gameplay, like having the white cloth over a windowsill you can jump over or something like that, it felt so ingrained in part of the world that it didn't feel super gamified. And just going from regular to otherworld and watching the world around you deteriorate and rot. Just everything about it was visually arresting to me.
Yeah, I agree. I really like modern solutions to modern problems, right? Like, I have free control of this camera. I can look at any number of things. Like, how do you guide my eye intelligently as designers, and like show your hand as little as possible, right? So like, yeah, we have some prompts on the screen and we have the subtlety of the cloth there. Like, it's a glaring like, hey, video game, break this wall or hop this ledge. I think though, like, is one of the best examples I've seen in a modern game of like, it does feel of a piece of the world around you. It stands out enough to grab your attention, but it, you know, I just accept it for what it is. Like, yeah, we need to do a little bit of that, right, to guide my eye, because there's just too much to focus on. It would be too easy to miss stuff. I think it's a good example of that, honestly. I think it's as good as it gets. And honestly, so the original had like more limited camera, a lot of fixed camera angles, or like they're, you know, panning with you, but you have less control over that. There are places where this game so justifies the choice to do a modern retelling of this tale. And there's one in particular. It's in the basement of the hospital, I think. There was just one moment, and it's like, this is indicative of overall something this game is doing repeatedly that I so appreciate. You go into the basement of the hospital. It's a scary place. You're in this dark, industrial, rusty, wet, damp, nasty basement, and there are creatures hiding in the darkness. Now you come around this bend, and there's one stretch of it that's like facing the side of the building that's like facing the sunlight. And so you have this warm light filtering down through like the basement windows that kind of floods it in this warm light. And you immediately feel this sense of safety, right? Like, oh, this is an area that's like, compared to the rest of the basement that I've been going through, like, it's well lit. And they draw your eye to that because as you're approaching it, like, that's the focal point coming down this hallway. So you immediately feel a sense of safety. Then it like makes an L, like it just takes a turn to the left. And so you turn to the left and there's a set of lockers there. And naturally your eye goes to like the rightmost locker, or like one in the line, and it has a prompt on it, and that guides your eye to that. Just beyond that final locker is like a mannequin creature waiting in the darkness. And it's like, if you knew to look for it, you would see it. But like, they so cleverly first let me drop my guard with the lighting change in the environment and drawing my eye to the window and remembering there's a world outside, there's a sun outside, beyond the cloud cover. I feel a little bit more safe right here. And then like, ooh, a goodie, ooh, a video game pickup, and then punish that so effectively. Like that, just the fucking layup of like that series of building me up, dropping my guard, going for the item, and then amazing jump scare. Like, that's the kind of shit that, man, like, I was so impressed with Bloober Team for like taking these opportunities and really giving me a new, fresh experience in not just Silent Hill 2, but like that's effective horror game, video game design. Like, that's great. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, just the lighting, the incredible lighting of just going through this completely just pitch black apartment building with just your flashlight and just illuminating, like, oh fuck, there's another one just like hiding behind the fridge or beyond the wall, you know? And again, how the visuals communicate the story, right? Like, one crazy like revelation in the game is like going through the hotel, and it just seems like a spooky abandoned hotel. It's already scary. And then you go into the room with the tape.
Yeah.
And you play the VHS tape, and you have the revelation of what James did and what he is. And after that, it's like you see the hotel for what it is. It's like, oh, it's no longer just this spooky abandoned, but ultimately kind of like well-kept hotel. It is rotting around you.
Mm-hmm.
You are surrounded by debris and refuse and rotted wood. And like moments like that, like, again, telling a story through the environment, visual design, and just everything reinforcing the narrative. Just brilliant.
And I think with everything reinforcing the narrative, I have to go sound. And I gave it a 9.5, and I have a reason.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I had it at a 10 not even 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
But then I remembered like 4 or 5 different instances where the music fucked up. Like, I don't know if it was a bug or if it was on purpose, but like,
okay,
when you were in an instance of violence, the music instantly changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That even whenever, like, I noticed it because I kept running around trying to find something to kill, and I know there weren't any like crawlers around or anything like that. There were times that music would stay, and the effect was not heightened. It actually removed me from the effect a little bit. And that just kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. But that's all that I have. Like, I almost want to just give it a 10 because that's the only complaint I have. I mean, fuck it. It's a 10.
Okay. Yeah. When I think about like some of the greatest video game like audio design, Silent Hill 2. The Silent Hill series in general. Like, first you have the just incredible work of Akira Yamaoka. Like, not even just the score, the soundtrack, but just the Silent Hill scares me in a way that like few games can, because it truly makes me feel anxious.
Yeah.
And it's not just anxiety about, oh, fuck, I only have like 3 bullets. Like, what's around the corner? Like usual survival horror game stuff. Like, there's the added element of, I am so unsettled by like the content and the visuals and like what we're exploring here, the specific traumas and what's being manifest before our eyes. But like the grinding industrial just noise.
Yeah.
Of this world. And your radio. The radio is like the most effective item in a horror game.
I loved it, but hated it so much.
Sure.
Like,
sure.
I wanted to turn it off. Yeah. But I couldn't bring myself. Okay. I have one example. I only want to share one example because we're already kind of going a little long. I have one example of where the sound affected me in that way you're talking about. Pure anxiety, pure fear, pure terror. And it's toward the end of the game when you're exploring the labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into what you find out to be Pyramid Head's like workshop area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your job, you cannot kill him there. You have to run away from him.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is your radio doesn't tell you how close he is because he's always close. You can't look behind you because he will absolutely fuck your shit up if you look behind you. And honestly, most of the time, you can't run fast enough. If you start with him close enough to hit you, he will keep pace with you and keep hurting you. And there is not a goddamn thing you can do. And the entire time, you hear the radio screeching, the industrial sounds of pistons and whatever going on, and that horrible metallic scrape of him dragging his sword across the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you hear all of those things, and the only thing you can think of is, fuck, I have to get out. I don't know. And like the first time I was there, I just needed an exit. Any exit would do. And I ended up back at my starting point. And I was like, oh God, that's not where I need to be.
Yeah. And you got to go back down.
And then you have to go back down into it. And it's just, so fucking scary.
Yeah.
And that is why, like, don't get me wrong, the music is perfect.
Yeah.
The sound design is beautiful. The sound effects are great. You don't have any sort of mishmash or anything like that. But the thing that put this at a 10 for me is that moment where three sounds come together to create such a visceral feeling of fear in a video game that it sticks with you after the fact.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, the radio to me encapsulates like the idea of, like, if you had one object to communicate the idea of, your idea of what's waiting in the darkness is always worse than what's actually there.
Yeah.
Like the dread, the anxiety, the anticipation of what could be there. Because like, how many times did that radio start crackling? Like,
and it was just a fucking bug.
It's just a fucking bug.
It's just a fucking bug, dude.
And it's easy to just be like, to calm yourself. Well, easy in theory to just be like, the radio's crackling. Like, what's the worst case scenario? It's another one of the mannequin creatures you've seen, which you kind of learned how to deal with.
No, the worst case scenario is the fucking bubble head with a knife.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yes.
Whew.
Mileage may vary, but I guess I just mean, like, how often are you actually seeing something new? Like, oh, it's going to be another thing that you've learned how to deal with, right? Or maybe it's just a bug. Maybe it's just a fucking roach scurrying around. But man, in the moment, you can't tell yourself that. I can't.
No. It's fucking Pyramid Head.
Yeah, it's like all the worst horrors. You don't even, like, I don't put a face to it. It's just pure, unfiltered, unadulterated, just dread and anxiety of the thing because of the sound, because of the grind, like, because of how the game is so steadily ramped up the tension and gotten me to this place of already just like massive unease and anxiety. And then that additional layer thrown on top. And then maybe we have other things impacting that at the moment. Like maybe I'm out of health. Maybe I'm out of ammo. Like all of that is just so well reinforced by that sound design is incredible. And the performances were good. Like fans of the original 2 have some issues with Maria and some of the other performances. But like this is a place where I just wanted to, I wanted to say my piece about the original in a couple places just to like have that impacted a little bit. I didn't want to do too much of that. I'm just going to treat it as its own thing. Performances are great.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I felt the emotion in these character performances, but it wasn't like overacted to the point where like you lost any of the sort of enigmatic sense of the world.
Yeah, everybody was individualized, but not over characterized.
Yeah, and some of them, honestly, like Eddie, it's a visual thing too, but man, Eddie is so much more unsettling in this remake.
Yeah,
like he is frightening and. He's creepy in the original. Like, yeah, this dude that's just like hanging out with a child, an unattended child, eating pizza.
But Eddie also like, kind of has like a baby Yui like look to him, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That just makes it feel even weirder.
Oh yeah, and just like all your interactions with him, like the first time you stumble upon him, and he's just like, "I didn't do it. I didn't do it." It's like, the lady doth protest too much.
Too much. Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Always unsettling, but man, in this remake, he is really spooky, fucking creepy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing sound.
Okay. Fun factor.
I love horror. I love Silent Hill. I love this game. I give it a 10 out of 10.
I did too.
It gave me hell yeah. Like it's in that, it's like that upper tier of like, it's not the original experience. I don't need to have the original experience given to me again. I can go play that game. I own that game on PlayStation 2. I can play it anytime I want. What did you do with this one? And if you don't make any like drastic, like unforgivable thematic or narrative changes or like destroy the soul of the original somehow, like some remakes do this, then I'm usually pretty open to like switching things up. This game strikes the perfect balance of It's very faithful. It makes a couple choices. Any issues I have are very trivial in nature, like I'm saying with the Eddie boss battle. And honestly, you have me reconsidering like how strongly I feel about that anyway, which wasn't that strong to begin with.
Glad to help, you know.
But it gave me a way to re-experience a game I love so much and revisit a world I'm so intrigued by and make it totally fresh. Like I just didn't know what they were going to change and where they were going to like lead me down an alley or through a backyard instead of like over here, like this side of town. How much it was going to like expand. Like it seriously expanded how much I was able to explore the town initially, like going in and out of all these different stores and like bars and stuff, which is really cool. Like it just constantly surprised me, but it's such an effective horror game. I mentioned how it sets up really smart, earned jump scares, how it cleverly ramps up the tension, not through just cheap tricks, but like building like developed tension rooted in the themes and the gameplay systems. The visual delight or horror, honestly, like it's nasty. It's gross. It's everything I would want a modern horror game to be. Like it is a 10 out of 10 modern horror game. Like I don't think you can do better than this, honestly.
So I know I gave it a 9.5 on narrative and a 9 on gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The reason I gave it a 10 out of 10 for fun factor is very simple. I don't have all of your history with this.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, this game is a survival horror game. And in fact, to me, it feels like the standard by which a survival horror game should be measured. Everything about this game to me is what I want from a survival horror game.
Mm-hmm.
Resource management was super important. The monsters were genuinely scary. The story was sometimes sickeningly tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And you almost don't know you never really know who is the villain. Like, is Silent Hill the villain? Is James the villain? Kind of. Is Maria the villain? Is there something overhanging? Like, honestly, who do you trust in this game? Because everyone seems to be an unreliable narrator. Like, I don't even know if I trust that James actually killed his wife. Like, nothing in this game is to be trusted. And that makes it even more frightening at the lengths it goes to manipulate every iota of James's psyche. The idea that Silent Hill makes James think that he killed his wife and therefore succumbs to his own grief is terrifying. Like, the idea that he stayed by her side until she passed, but he doesn't remember any of that, and instead he remembers these memories that he has been given. Like, I don't know why that like jumped into my head, but it felt like something Silent Hill could do. This entire thing is terrifying. But the biggest thing for me about what I want in a survival horror game are the puzzles.
Yeah.
And this game does puzzles better than any survival horror game I've ever played. Every puzzle is clever. Every puzzle is well thought out. You can change the fucking difficulty level of the puzzles before you start the game. Which I'm going to play this game again on probably light or standard combat, but hard puzzles, and I'm going to increase the ammo drops.
Yeah.
So I have plenty of resources because I just want to play through and play these hard puzzles. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play a second playthrough of this game just for the puzzles. And that is batshit that I want to do that.
Yeah, it's something that is like a staple of the series, which is not a usual thing in video games. Usually, like, yeah, what are difficulty options related to? Like, if you go back through for a second playthrough, like, you're just having a difference in combat difficulty.
Yeah.
And you just expect the puzzles to, like, just breeze through them because, like, oh, I know how to do this now. I know the code. Maybe I even have it memorized. Like, that is such a fresh take on it. And some of them I get pretty wild. There's one notorious puzzle in Silent Hill 3 where you have to have, like, external knowledge of Shakespeare to solve it.
This is the first game I've played in a while where I actually needed to have a pen and paper. I have
What was your
notes.
favorite puzzle?
My favorite puzzle... My favorite puzzle was when you get locked in the room that's covered in graffiti.
Yeah?
It was one of the easier puzzles, but it was so cleverly done.
That was a cool room visually, too.
I really liked that puzzle. There was another puzzle, the one with the reversible coins and the couplets.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, that's just...
3 bright coins in the 5 holes be. First sits the maiden under the tree. The wind from behind the maiden doth blow. A beautiful flower alone has to grow. And here comes the man, so sleek and so fine. In the pale moonlight, his eyes doth shine.
Such a good puzzle.
Dude, you give me like a little, just a poem.
Yeah.
With my puzzle. Like, I'm already 9/10 of the way there. I'm just so happy.
Rock hard for these puzzles.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's one, like, that makes its return from the original. Like, adjusting the coins in that contraption. And that's one of my favorites, too. Like, honestly, for me, it would be that. I love a puzzle that tells a story, and, like, I can sort of visualize, like, a series of events, like a little narrative within it. Like, that shit.
I liked the music box, too.
That's really good.
Lining up the princesses to do their thing. That's the kind of puzzle that I excel at, where it's just like pattern recognition and like, yeah,
that's very satisfying.
That's good shit.
Yeah. That and in the prison, the rhyming crimes on the placards. Like, first you have to, like, find where they go. Ooh. And, like, piece the crimes together, and then you have to make a choice about who you think is the guiltiest, like, the guilty person in this series of events. Like, that's amazing.
I love the puzzle. I did not like its execution.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at... I wrote down all of the rhyme schemes to figure out where the mismatch was.
Uh-huh.
And I failed 3 times. I
Mm.
mean, after you figure out what happens when you fail, it's not a super big deal. But
Yeah.
I was pretty pissed because I thought I had it figured out, and it seemed like it was kind of arbitrary.
So what happens when you fail that? Like, if you choose incorrectly? Because I don't remember. Because I failed in the original, but
you drop into a pit, and there are like 3 mannequins and 2 lying figures.
Uh-huh.
And if your reflexes are fast enough, you can run straight to the ladder and climb up, and you're fine. But if you hesitate even for a second, you are absolutely fucked.
All right. That's 10 out of 10 fun.
Yeah, it's just a good fucking time. And with that also comes, like, the boss fights are all noticeably different. For a game that is this short, you still feel like the enemies do evolve. The only thing I wish we had was some progression for James, but it's a survival horror game, so I get it.
Oh, do you mean like learning more skills or?
Yeah, skills or like increased defense or something like that. You know, like maybe he finds a flak jacket or
I see. Okay.
Like anything like that that makes him, that increases his abilities that aren't just offensive. You maybe a one-use item that gives you a hint on a puzzle, or, something like that kind of shows that he is learning as he goes. That would have been really cool. But that is such a personal thing that I can't let it affect my score. This game is a good fucking time. I'm going to play it again just because I played it the first time for the podcast, so I kind of rushed through it. And I think I finished it in 16 hours. So
nice.
I was moving at a pretty good clip. When I play it again, it's probably going to be closer to 25. There's too much shit I really want to really dig deep on. There are areas that I want to completely clear so I can explore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you'd play it again. Time for the question. Are you going to source Silent Hill?
I am. 100%.
Hell yeah. I've already sourced the hell out of it, but if this were my first experience, I'd be checking out more.
This has made me want to play more survival horror, not just Silent Hill. This is the best example of wanting to source something. I want to source everything that it involves itself with. Everything that has been created around it, not just its own IP. It was that good of a game. And just so you know the score, a 97.5.
One of our highest.
I think it may be our highest.
I was trying to remember where we ended on Indiana Jones, because I feel like that might be the...
I've got everything here. So I'm looking through my notes. Order 1886 was an 82. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was a 96. So that's close. This may be our highest scoring game. I'll have to look at my notes for Indiana Jones. Those are in a different notebook.
I was thinking to beat Rebirth, and I thought potentially, because I feel like we were just giving Indiana Jones just 9s and 9.5s and 10s all the way down the line. But I was thinking maybe potentially that's our top. We should probably be. I should be keeping records of these. I'm not. I have my scores, but yeah. But it's up there. It's one of our favorites.
That's a
Source Not Found approves of Silent Hill. We don't approve of the movie.
No, but this gets our stamp of approval.
It does. So you looking forward to now Bloober Team's next foray with their remake of Silent Hill 1?
Are they doing that?
Oh, did you not know this?
No.
Yeah.
When is this out?
That's been announced. I don't know, actually. I don't know if that's been announced or not, but it was revealed that they are working on the remake of 1.
That's exciting.
Interesting. That is. I'm excited about Silent Hill. I'm excited about F. Just coming out as of recording. It's going to be out in the next couple days. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for more.
Yeah, that was I did have to take a break and play a game that was a little less anxiety causing. So, I got my Switch 2 and jumped right into Hollow Knight, and
different kind of anxiety, huh?
Different kind of anxiety. Yeah, it was still
different
really
kind of frustration. Yeah,
yeah, still super anxious. Still super anxious.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I hear.
Housekeeping.
Yeah,
we're there.
And we need to do it because this place is nasty and rotted and
it's
covered in
gross.
goo.
We're in the other world, baby. Email us at sourcenotfoundpod@gmail.com with your thoughts on Silent Hill or anything else for that matter. You can check us out on all of the socials, Facebook, for God only knows why, Instagram, and Blue Sky. We are also on YouTube, where we have a full backlog of all of our episodes, as well as videos of Brandon streaming games that we play for the games that he plays for the podcast, games that we play for the podcast, through Twitch. Which, speaking of Brando, what be happening on the Twitch?
Man, I'm just deep in Silent Hill. I've been playing nothing but for the last month. So I played Silent Hill 2 Remake on stream. Jumped right into 3, did a replay of 3. Finally finished 4, which I had played 20 years ago, but never played all the way through. That was a wild ride. And as of recording today, I'm currently in the PS3, Xbox 360 generation, which is the low point of the series. So I just went through Homecoming, currently going through Downpour. Those are some games. But I'm very much looking forward to F coming out, as like by the time this drops, it will have been out for me a couple days, because we had some sub goals on my Twitch channel, which we hit. So I got the early access, and September 23rd, Silent Hill F marathon stream has, as of the time that you're listening to this, already taken place, but I'm probably still playing it. So come on by and see some more Silent Hill. And then, man, like I started spooky season at the end of August. We're going hard. I got all kinds of shit planned for October. We got Kuon, the From Software survival horror game on the PS2. We got weird point and click games like Phantasmagoria and Juggernaut on the PS1. We got some recent games. We got Alien Isolation. We got Siren. We got Fatal Frame. Come on by. Get spooked. Twitch.tv/LegionBug. Link down in the show notes right next to, first of all, the link to the boss fight books, Silent Hill 2 by Mike Drucker, which I want to direct you all to because it is a great read for fans of the game. Even if you only played the remake, like so much of that still applies, and it's very insightful. And another link to Jesse Jelena, a.k.a. St. Coelacanth, the architect of our amazing theme song, and a whole lot of other good shit, too.
Yeah.
Go on by. Check out his
work. Awesome dude.
Great stuff.
Awesome dude.
It's also the time to, not of any particular unit of time or month, or
no,
you
it's
might say,
just
but just
it's
a
the
time.
end. It's the end of the month. It's the end of the month.
It's
so
a time.
We need
to think.
We need to shout out our beautiful, beautiful patrons.
Thank you so much to 13th Horseman, Jacob Swindell, Susie Daggs, Joey Bishop, and Frederick Weaver Vorhog.
Friendship.
Thank you. In our restless dreams, we see your beautiful shining faces.
God, it was a good game, guys. So I'm just gonna say,
I'm so happy. I thought I ruined it. I thought I blew it.
No.
But we got you.
No, it was awesome. So check your toilets for press square to search.
Oh yeah, check your toilet for a wallet. That's the original, but
press square to search. Press square to search, dude. When you got to press square 3 times to reach his arm deeper and deeper into a hole that makes weird scrunchy noises, fuck off, dude. I was waiting at any moment for just his arm to just be gone.
You know what really makes clear that James is the villain of the game, like an irredeemable character to me? He digs in that toilet, he pulls that arm out, and then he doesn't do jack shit about it. Just like, I know that like the sinks aren't functioning, but fucking Christ, find something. Find a drain, find like a less nasty fluid, or just like find a towel, wipe it on the trousers if you have to. He just doesn't do anything. He just fucking goes about his day. Fucking dude, just like he got in there fucking deep. Like,
can you imagine how that man smells by the end of this game?
No, because I was born without a sense of smell, which you know, but listeners don't. I don't have a sense of smell, but my mind's going crazy just thinking about that.
That's why I said imagine.
Yeah, I do have an imagination. I imagine he smells like Eddie looks. How Eddie makes me feel when I look at him and hear him talk is how James smells.
And I think Eddie smells like what the floor of a theater after a children's movie would taste like. That was because you don't have a sense of smell. I wanted to connect 2 senses together.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful, just lovely sensory experience that now I'm thinking about.
You're welcome. This is what friends do.
Yeah. On that note, stay silent. Shush the fuck up. Bye.